Hello everyone, I'm Peter. Welcome to our space for true stories. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. We will select the best comments to send to the original poster op of the real Reddit story. We hope your insights help them overcome their challenges. Thank you for being part of our community. Please sit back and enjoy today's story. There's something wrong with my wife. I'm posting this here because my wife doesn't use Reddit, and honestly, she doesn't even know what it is. I can't talk to anyone else about it except my therapist. I've tried talking to friends and family, but none of them truly understand the gravity of what I'm saying. I'm a 37-year-old man, and my lovely wife is 36. We've barely had any issues between us. But lately, I've been noticing small things piling up to an almost terrifying level, and I'm not sure I can just brush it off anymore. She's amazing. She's done so much for me in this marriage and been so understanding that when I didn't want to be intimate after a painful experience, she respected that. She does little things to show she listens and cares, and I do the same for her. I want to be with her because we've been married for 10 years and she's all I know, but lately, I don't understand what's happening or why she's acting this way. The first noticeable time was when we found an egg on the curb. We assumed it was from our neighbors since they have chickens, and maybe it rolled away or something. Without a second thought, my wife crushed the egg underfoot. Now I wouldn't have minded if it was just an unfertilized egg or a regular cooking egg, but there was a full embryo visible, and I threw up. She laughed and said it was funny, and that at least the neighbors wouldn't have to worry about another chicken. I told myself it was just an egg and that she didn't know an embryo was inside, but her reaction afterward worried me. I brushed it off because, as I said, I love her. Maybe it was stupid, but I did. I really do love her. But things kept happening, and my love for her is faltering. Here are a few notable things I remember. We have a dog, let's call him Butter. Butter's the calmest dog ever, easy to take care of, and well trained. However, one time he got sick and irritable and had an accident on the carpet. My wife screamed at Butter. She yelled. I told her to stop because he was already hurt and sick. I cleaned up the mess and she never got mad at Butter again, but it made me question how cruel she was to him. I understand she was frustrated, but Butter started crying and tried to paw at her, and she just kept screaming at him. My mom passed away in 2020. Natural causes. But I was close to her, and it took me years to come to terms with it. I left her favorite bracelet on the table with her family photos. One day, it disappeared, and I panicked. That bracelet was handmade by my mom's grandfather, and she wore it daily. It was part of her. But when I told my wife, she said she had sold it. I sobbed. I wasn't even mad at her, just devastated. But then, soon after, the bracelet was back on the table, and when I asked her about it, she laughed and said, "You should have seen your face." When we were gardening, I dropped my keys. She was irritated because it was hot, and she had been planting flowers all morning. When she found them, she threw them at my face and they cut my nose. She felt terrible, but that reaction disappointed me. Once, after work on Halloween, I was feeling particularly down for no reason. I don't blame her for this, but she pranked me and scared me, as something we usually do on Halloween. I broke down crying because it felt like the last straw after my shift. She laughed, kept laughing, and then went back to the living room to watch TV. One time on Facebook, we learned a classmate had been in a car accident. I told her, and she shrugged, saying she didn't really know the person, so it didn't matter. I get that she didn't care about the victim, but the poor girl had been badly injured, and my memories of her from school were pleasant. She didn't deserve what happened. My wife and I enjoy horror. We're horror fans, but I cannot tolerate violence against animals. It disturbs me. So when we watched When Evil Lurks, as you can imagine, I was nauseous. What's odd is that she had already seen it, but wanted to watch it with me because she loved it. I'm glad she enjoyed it. But I would have appreciated a heads up, and I made that clear. She shrugged it off, and that was that. These are just a few things, but the worst happened just yesterday. I've tried to keep quiet, but this might be my breaking point. I was cleaning our room while my wife was at work, and I found a journal hidden under the mattress while changing the sheets. For some reason I opened it, and right away I realized it was my wife's. I would have put it back if I hadn't seen the words on the page. I was horrified. She wrote that while she was driving, a group of geese crossed the road. Annoying, sure, but you wait. My wife wrote that geese are useless, so it was fine if some got hit. Yes, she hit 2 geese on the road. Again, I was horrified. I know what people will say, so I'll answer a few questions. I love her. I realize some of her behavior is unacceptable and concerning. I realize that concern is why I'm here in the first place. But you have to understand that for the last 16 years, she's been my entire world. We dated for 6 years before marrying, and we've been married for 10. In those 16 years, I've watched her go through horrible things, and she's seen the same with me. It's hard to summarize those 16 years, but they were tough, and I've already said too much. I noticed the changes about 3 years ago. Even then, I didn't think it was an issue until I read that small journal entry. I can't leave her, but I can't act the same around her after discovering that. I know I need to confront her about what I've seen, but honestly, I'm terrified. I never knew she was capable of this until I read it and started piecing things together. Whatever's going on, I don't know what to do about it. She has a therapist, and so do I. She seems sincere, but I don't know how to handle knowing she's willing to kill an animal without any remorse. Honestly, I don't want to leave her. I met her when I was young, and all I know is her. She's seen me through the most vulnerable times of my life, and vice versa. Her family and mine are essentially intertwined. We all love each other. She's been in my life longer than she hasn't. If I have to leave her, I think it would be the end of me. That would be all I have. I'm 37, not old, but not desirable either. I don't even know why she fell for me because I don't think I'm desirable. I'm not sure if this post makes sense. I don't know if anyone will take the time to read about my struggles. My therapist is on vacation, so I can't talk to her yet. I need someone to talk to because everyone I've told brushes it off since my wife is so sweet to them. I just want to fix this. To answer some questions, when I said, she's seen horrible things, I meant a family member of hers passed away, and a mutual friend of ours also died. But this didn't happen until months after. We don't have kids, and I've had a tough experience I won't go into, which made me realize I'm asexual. And I'll ask her soon. Update. Clearing up some things. Thank you for your comments and your time. It's been a long month, and I have a lot to say, but I can't stress enough how much your support and words, harsh or not, have meant to me. I'll say what's been on my mind lately, but if anyone new comes along, here it is. I'm leaving my ex-wife, Anna, but we're still living together while I pack. I'm not afraid of her anymore, so that's her name. I sat her down and talked to her. Everything I wrote and posted here was copy-pasted from Google Docs. I left out some details because they could identify both me and Anna. I showed it to her, and she was furious with me. I understand why. I shared details about our marriage and lives online. Her feelings were valid. But I started to get frustrated, listening to her vomiting excuses. She didn't interrupt or yell at me because I think she finally realized how much all of it had affected me. I begged her to listen, and to my surprise, she did. She admitted to me that she also noticed she's been changing, and talked to her therapist about it. Do I believe her? Not entirely. She said she was scaring herself and recognized her anger issues, and as some of you predicted, she didn't want to give up sex, so she cheated on me with some guy she met at work. Honestly, by the time she explained, I didn't care. Because I didn't. After everything, this was the least shocking thing. I actually asked Anna if she loved the guy she met, and she said yes, which broke my heart but didn't seem surprising. I told Anna that if she didn't love me, I could divorce her, and we could figure out the separation and the family stuff. She agreed too quickly, but I was emotionally drained from working with her for so long that I didn't realize how little she valued our marriage, just tossing it away like it meant nothing. I just told her that for the next guy, she needs to get help. She agreed that she'd check herself into a hospital. Some of you thought it might be a tumor, but it wasn't. Her explanation was that the guy had introduced her to drugs. That's all I'll say on that because that's all she told me. At this point, I don't even care what the reason is because the effect is the same. Honestly, I'll always blame myself for not recognizing any red flags sooner. It should have never gotten to this point, and while it might not be my fault, I'm haunted every day by the thought that I could have been smarter and prevented her from doing everything she did. When I said she wasn't always like this, I meant it. She didn't give me a specific date when the affair started, so I can't pinpoint exactly when this all happened. I miss the woman from before, the sweet girl I knew for almost 2 decades. I know this is the right thing to do, but no matter how many times I tell myself that, it doesn't make me feel any better. For those asking, Butter is safe. He's a good boy, and he's staying with my sister while I pack up and move. My wife never physically hurt him, but she did yell at him a few times. It's heartbreaking not to have him around often because my sister lives 30 minutes away. But he's safe, and I actually saw him tonight. I've also informed my family about the situation. I didn't want to, but I knew it was necessary. They understand now and apologize for brushing it off. But to be fair, I downplayed it, so that could be why they didn't take it seriously. Her family also knows we're separating. As for me, I don't have many close friends, so I spend most of my time alone at home, thinking. It was our home at one point. I remember when we first bought it and how excited she was. My best friend and I will be going out to dinner, so that's something to look forward to. And she still admitted. I haven't heard from her since they took her phone at the hospital. I hope she can recover, but after everything my therapist, my family, my best friend, and you all have said, I can't stay with her. Breaking this off feels like ripping my own arm off. I'm devastated and still am. She seems distraught too, but I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't think she doesn't care about me, I think there's a part of her that still does. But maybe I'm deluding myself. Even after all this, I can't hate her. But I know loving her isn't good for me. Is it wrong to forgive her? To see things from her side? It hurts. It really does. I know nothing else but her. It feels like my life is over even though it's not. I don't want to date again, I just want to connect with someone else. It doesn't show how isolated I've been until I leave, and now I realize she's the reason I stopped reaching out to anyone. If I had to conclude this messy update, it would be this. I'll be okay. It's only been 2 weeks, but they've been the longest weeks of my life. I'm realizing there are more people around me who support and care about me than I thought. Honestly, it's hard to accept that Anna is troubled and didn't love me. Sometimes I still convince myself she did. But everyone around me says she didn't. And I'm slowly accepting that. That's progress. I've spent more than 16 years with this woman tormenting me, and I had a warped sense of reality. It's really not easy to experience any of this, and honestly, sometimes I want to go back to her. But I know that maybe I can find someone, man or woman, who will love me the way I need to be loved. I'm working through that in therapy, and honestly, I'm still afraid of Anna. But I'm thankful she was the catalyst for a new chapter in my life. I've learned a lot from this, mainly what love is and what it isn't. Thank you. You all have good insights into things. I can't say Reddit solved my problems, but I can say that leaving was the result of the extra push you all gave me. I wish Anna the best, wherever the future takes her. It's sad that the future won't include me, But I think that's for the best for both of us, given that she doesn't seem to love me and I'm now afraid of her. This will be the last update. I don't foresee any more unless something happens with her. I want to close this and move on.